G'day, folks. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, filled with countless stars, and wondered, how did it all begin? Not just the universe, but us. You, me, every living thing on this beautiful blue planet. It's one of the biggest, most profound questions humanity has ever asked. Where did life come from? It's a question that has puzzled philosophers, scientists, and thinkers for thousands of years. It's a mystery that takes us back to the very beginning of our world, a time long before dinosaurs, before the first fish swam in the oceans. This is the ultimate detective story, and the clues are scattered across billions of years of history. To understand where life came from, we first need to rewind the clock, way back. The ingredients for life weren't created on Earth. They were forged in the hearts of dying stars, billions of years before our planet even existed. Elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Earth wasn't the calm, watery world we know today. It was a chaotic, fiery, and violent place. Volcanoes constantly erupted, spewing gases into a primitive atmosphere. The early Earth was a massive chemical laboratory. This chaotic energy might have been the very thing that kick-started the chemistry of life. Let's start our investigation with one of the most enduring ideas about life's origins, the primordial soup. In a letter to a friend in 1871, Charles Darwin mused about life beginning in some warm little pond. He imagined a place with all sorts of ammonia and phosphoric salts, light, heat, and electricity present. This concept was later fleshed out in the 1920s by two scientists working independently, Alexander Oparin in Russia and J.B.S. Haldane in Britain. They proposed that the early Earth's atmosphere was very different from today's, rich in hydrogen-containing molecules like methane and ammonia, but had virtually no free oxygen. That all changed in 1952, thanks to a young graduate student named Stanley Miller and his professor Harold Urey at the University of Chicago. Their now famous experiment zapped a mixture of primitive gases with sparks to simulate lightning. It was like creating a tiny, contained lightning storm in a bottle. After letting the experiment run for just 1 week, the results were astonishing. The clear water had turned a deep red and cloudy brown. He had successfully created several different types of organic molecules, including amino acids, the fundamental building blocks that link together to form proteins. For all its successes, the classic primordial soup theory has faced significant challenges. One of the biggest issues is our evolving understanding of the early Earth's atmosphere. Another challenge is the concentration problem. The early oceans were vast. Even if organic molecules were forming, they would have been incredibly diluted. This atmospheric problem has led scientists to look for other sources. During the late heavy bombardment, a constant shower of cosmic objects crashed into our planet. This cosmic delivery service could have seeded the early oceans with a ready-made supply of amino acids and other important molecules. What if the spark of life didn't ignite under the sunlit sky, but in the crushing pressure and absolute darkness of the deep ocean? In 1977, scientists exploring the Galapagos Rift made one of the most stunning biological discoveries of the 20th century. They found teeming ecosystems, vibrant oases of life, clustered around these bizarre structures, gushing superheated mineral-rich water. The organisms thriving around these vents weren't powered by light, but by chemistry. They were engaged in chemosynthesis. Let's take a closer look at these incredible structures. Cold seawater seeps down through cracks, gets superheated by underlying magma to temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Celsius. When this superheated fluid hits the near-freezing ocean water, a dramatic chemical reaction takes place. The dissolved minerals instantly precipitate out. These chimneys are incredibly porous, filled with a maze of tiny interconnected pockets and channels, creating a natural chemical reactor. Inside these mineral pockets, simple organic molecules could have been trapped and concentrated, and the unique conditions could have driven synthesis of more complex molecules. A different type of vent, known as an alkaline hydrothermal vent, might be an even better candidate. These are cooler, less acidic, and produce fluids rich in hydrogen and methane. The flow of water through the vent structure would constantly supply fresh reactants, creating a kind of primordial assembly line for the molecules of life. The natural proton gradient across the mineral walls looks strikingly similar to the way the most ancient bacteria generate their energy. The final step would be for this self-sustaining chemical system to break free, eventually wrapping itself in a lipid membrane to create the first true, free-living cell. So far, our search has been firmly grounded on Earth. But what if the story didn't begin here at all? What if the first seeds of life were actually cosmic immigrants? This is the central idea of panspermia, a theory suggesting life travels from world to world, nestled inside comets, asteroids, and space dust. The concept isn't new. Anaxagoras hinted at it in the 5th century BC, and it was popularized in the 20th century by astronomers like Fred Hoyle and Chandra Wickramasinghe. They argued that the sheer complexity of life was statistically almost impossible to have arisen from scratch in the relatively short time available on early Earth. The universe is constantly sending us packages from the past in the form of meteorites. These are fragments of asteroids that have survived the fiery journey through our atmosphere. One of the most famous examples is the Murchison meteorite, which fell in Victoria, Australia in 1969. Analysis revealed a treasure trove of organic matter. Scientists identified over 90 different amino acids within the rock. While life on Earth uses only 20 specific amino acids, this meteorite contained many of those, plus dozens of other types. During the late heavy bombardment, each impact was a delivery event, seeding the young planet with a vast quantity of pre-made organic molecules. The quest to understand life's origins is a story of brilliant, curious scientists. Darwin planted a conceptual seed, suggesting for the first time that the origin of life could be understood as a natural chemical process. Building on Darwin's starting point, the first detailed scientific hypotheses came in the 1920s from Alexander Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane, working on opposite sides of the Iron Curtain. That theoretical foundation became experimental reality in 1952, thanks to Stanley Miller and Harold Urey. Their experiment transformed the origin of life from philosophical debate into experimental science. The discovery of DNA's structure in 1953 added another crucial piece, revealing the molecular basis of heredity and providing a clear target for origin of life research. A new generation of scientists began to challenge the classic models. Michael Russell, a geologist, championed the idea that life started not in a sunny pond, but in the dark depths of the ocean. Jack Szostak, a Nobel Prize-winning geneticist, focuses on creating the first primitive cell. His lab has shown how simple fatty acids can form vesicles that can grow, capture genetic material, and divide. Today, scientists like John Sutherland are making incredible breakthroughs, showing that multiple building blocks of RNA, DNA, and proteins can form from a single simple chemical reaction powered by UV light. These modern pioneers continue to chip away at the mystery, using ever more sophisticated tools to conduct ingenious experiments that inch us closer to solving the ultimate puzzle of our existence. We've explored incredible ideas: the warm primordial soup, the dark deep-sea vents, and the cosmic delivery service. But this is science, not a popularity contest. We need to compare them like a scientific scorecard. The primordial soup's greatest strength is its simplicity and the powerful experimental evidence from Urey. However, its main weakness is the concentration problem in vast early oceans. The hydrothermal vent theory solves the concentration problem beautifully and provides continuous chemical energy. The challenge is that intense heat could destroy fragile molecules as quickly as they form. Panspermia neatly explains where building blocks came from with solid proof from meteorites. But its major weakness is that it doesn't solve the origin question, it just moves it to another location. After looking at all this evidence, a fascinating picture is emerging. Instead of competing ideas, many scientists now believe the truth might be a combination of all of them. Imagine this scenario. The story begins in space. Asteroids and comets create organic building blocks and rain down on young Earth for millions of years, seeding the planet with raw materials. Ocean currents transport these delivered molecules to deep-sea hydrothermal vents. Here, in the protected, energy-rich mineral pores, the next crucial steps take place. Once primitive cells evolve in the stable nursery of the vents, they break free and spread to sunlit surface waters, where they can develop photosynthesis and become more complex. We find ourselves standing at the edge of a great unknown. The honest truth is, we still don't have a definitive answer to how life began. We have plausible pathways, but the full recipe remains a grand mystery. One of the biggest gaps is the precise sequence of events. How did the first self-replicating molecule assemble itself? How did the RNA world transition to the DNA protein world we see today? So why does this quest matter so much? The search for life's origins pushes the boundaries of our knowledge in fundamental ways, driving innovation across multiple scientific fields. When we realize that the carbon in our bodies was forged in the heart of a star, it changes how we see ourselves. It connects us to the grand, cosmic story of the universe. This quest is essential for searching for life elsewhere in the universe. How can we hope to find life on other worlds if we don't understand how it started here? The story of our origins is the story of us, and the search for its beginning will continue as long as we have the courage to ask the big questions. While the final answer may still be out of reach, the journey itself enriches our understanding and fuels our imagination for what is possible.